Hi you guys, my name is Cherita and I need an intro. So today's video is very serious and I'm gonna try my best to make it so that people are not triggered by this whole situation. If you don't know, Lifetime just rolled out this series about R. Kelly, who is widely known as the king of R&B. Now, a lot of people have issues with his title because of his past allegations and this is the only time I'm going to use this phrase in this video, is sexual abuse. That's kind of my trigger warning because that's what this video is about, but I will replace that phrase with something else. I'll figure it out once I get there. Okay, so Lifetime rolled out this series. It's called Surviving R. Kelly. It's a 6-part series. Parts 1 and 2 came out today, but because the series is so long, I'm just gonna go episode by episode by episode by episode. However, I will be using words such as victims and survivors, so if that's a trigger for you, you probably might want to click out of this video, but everything else I will do my best to censor because it is such a serious topic. And I mean, I've had friends tell me like, I'm not going to watch this series because it's so triggering. So I'm just going to watch what you have to say about this situation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give a rundown and I'm going to give you guys like what I think is happening and whatever. The show starts out with some people saying they feel like they're a victim. Some people say they feel like a survivor, and others saying that they don't feel like they're either. They just feel like a human being. There was a certain young lady who said something along the lines of, she didn't speak up because she felt as if she did something personal to make R. Kelly treat her the way that he did. Another woman said she felt like she wanted to speak out because she felt like her silence was enabling R. Kelly to act as he did for a lot longer. Another person said they wanted their story to be told so that it was taken more seriously. And then another person said she wanted to speak out because she didn't want things to get any worse. And there are a lot of people out there that are saying things like, well, how come they're waiting like 20, 30 years to speak out? And there's lots of reasons for that, which I probably won't get into in this video. But for the most part, a lot of people don't speak up or they don't speak out because they feel like nobody will believe them or that they're looking for attention, which is a mindset that we have to get rid of. A lot of the common denominator with these young women are they wanted to be singers, they wanted to be dancers, they wanted to be famous, they wanted to be the next superstar. And R. Kelly knew that, and he took advantage of the fact that that's what these women wanted to be. And so he's like, this is how I can lure these women in, or these young girls in, and then he would take advantage of them. And in the midst of all of this happening, all of these allegations, R. Kelly is still making music. He was still making music. He was working with artists such as Whitney Houston, Michael Jackson, Jay-Z, Lady Gaga. Like, he was working with amazing people while these young ladies were suffering in silence. I mean, it got to the point where South Park they were making fun of his situation. Dave Chappelle was making fun of his situation. Like, unfortunately, it became more of a parody than it became serious because everybody was just blowing it off as it was. And I'm talking like early, late 90s. This is when all this was happening. One of the things that really caught my eye and really caught my attention, and I feel like a lot of people have seen this before, is when he was getting interviewed by somebody, I don't remember who it was, and he asked, do you like teenage girls? Now, to me, the first reaction would to be like, ew, what do you mean? Do I like teenage girls? Like, huh? And he said, well, by teenage girls, how young are we talking? Excuse me, what? Okay, that's fine. Apparently, R. Kelly dropped out of high school when he was a senior. But before that, like, he had a lot of like insecurity issues where like He couldn't like sing to people in their face. He couldn't look at people like in their eyes. Otherwise he would have a breakdown. But after he graduated high school, and not just like, or not graduated, after he dropped out of high school, and I'm not talking like the day after he dropped out of high school. So he dropped out when he was a senior. So maybe he was what, 17. So like 3 years after that, he was still hanging around the high school. Like for what? You're a grown man. You're 20 years old. Why are you hanging around the high school? Why? It just doesn't make any sense. And somebody actually like made a really valid point, and she said he believes that he can fly and he believes he's invincible. Now, of course, that's a play on words from his song, I Believe I Can Fly, I Believe I Can Touch the Sky, da, da, da. In this particular series, in this very first episode, we hear from 2 of his siblings, Kelly, which is his youngest brother, which is the youngest of them all. And then Bruce Kelly, which is R. Kelly's older brother, but he's not the oldest. I believe there's one other older girl. Her name's Teresa. But Bruce is currently locked up in prison. I don't know for how long. I don't know for what. Dude's in jail. Dude's in prison. That's all I know. And Bruce was the one that brought it to everybody's attention that like R. Kelly did not, Robert, they call him Robert. So I'll probably switch in between R. Kelly and Robert, but whatever. So he was the one that was like, Robert doesn't like to be stared in the face. If he got stared in the face for too long, he would cry. He would break down and cry. When he first started singing, you know, in public, he would turn around so he didn't have to look at people. And if you think about it, like how often do you see R. Kelly performing with what? Sunglasses. There's something about eye contact that freaks him out or worries him or something. There's something about eye contact that R. Kelly cannot deal with or he cannot function with. I don't like to be stereotypical of people that have issues as R. Kelly does, but he grew up in the projects. He grew up without a father. You know, like he didn't know where his next meal was coming from. His mom lived paycheck to paycheck. You know, it was like one of those situations. And along with that, R. Kelly also could not read or write, or he struggled. I can't say, I don't want to say he couldn't, but he struggled with reading and writing. And his oldest brother, Bruce, said he heard him in the bathroom crying because all the kids were picking on him because he can't read, he can't write, blah, blah, blah. And Bruce was like, you know, gave him the whole motivation, like, it's okay, brother, because they're going to be crying when you're famous. Wow. You know, like gave him the whole speech about, you know, don't worry about the haters. Like basically that's what it was. Don't worry about the haters. You're going to rise above the haters. That's the motivational speech that his brother gave him. And then, you know, they went on to like a bunch of other different topics, whereas like his younger brother, Carrie, said, you know, he couldn't read or, you know, he couldn't read music. So he just played by ear. And, you know, he was phenomenal. But everything that he did was just like, wow, like I can't believe that. And I'm going to go off into tangents because that's what I do. So it sounds to me as if R. Kelly was just like naturally talented. I grew up as a gymnast my entire life. And for me, I was not a natural gymnast, okay? So you have your people that can like walk into the gym and, you know, you tell them to do this, they can do it. You tell them to do that, they can do that. But me, I had to work hard. Now I was naturally strong, you know, like I've got the build of a gymnast. And I was just like a strong person in general, but I had to work very, very hard. And I'm not saying that people who are naturally talented don't have to work, because they do. Natural talent plus work means a lot. So it sounds like R. Kelly had the natural talent plus the work. Whereas some people, they just have the natural talent and they're like, I don't need to work for this. And then they just stay stagnant, you know? And so that's really what it sounds like. It sounds like R. Kelly was just naturally gifted. He was naturally talented at what he did, whether it was play the piano, whether it was sing, doesn't matter. He was really good at it. He was naturally talented. So this was just kind of like the setup, you know, like the lead up to whatever. This quote comes across the screen and it says, as a kid, I had a lot of secrets. Some were terrible, some were beautiful, some were both. One secret was about what was happening to me at home. If that doesn't like strike a nerve with you, like that's really sad. Like that's terrible. That's awful. Somebody else in the video was saying that children only know what they're taught and they go along with it. How many of your kids believe in the tooth fairy? How many of your kids believe in Santa Claus? They do because you told them and they go along with it. That's just how it is. That's what it is. What's really sad is what you believe as a child sometimes rolls over into what you believe as an adult. And so they showed this interview of R. Kelly with Tavis Smiley. And R. Kelly basically told him, this is what happened to me when I was a child. But I don't want to say any names. I don't want to say who it is because I don't want to drag my family under the bus. I don't want to hurt the family member who hurt me. And that's sad because that is a cycle that is going to be repeated over and over and over because it was okay for him when he was a child. Now he is doing the same thing to children. So Carrie, which is R. Kelly's youngest brother, said the things that were happening to R. Kelly was actually happening to him too. So Carrie went and told his brother, Robert, and was like, hey, this is what's happening to me. And Robert was like, no, that's not happening to you. No, you're making it up. And when somebody tells you that, you believe it, especially when you're 6 years old. And that stopped Carrie from going to tell an adult. Because if he were to tell an adult, I mean, who knows what would have happened, but he would have felt more comfortable being able to tell an adult. I don't know. But because Robert was like, no, that didn't happen, Carrie was like, well, if my brother isn't going to believe me, then what makes me think that an adult is going to believe me? And it's really sad, you guys. This is a cycle that has to end. It has to. There was a lady who she basically said that if you are abused as a child in any type of way, you confuse control with that specific abuse. And then once they get older, they always want to be in that power position. And there's literally no higher power than being the abuser. And I think this is why the stigma of mental illness needs to stop. Because, and I'm not saying that like if they got a therapist, their lives would just be grand and everything would be perfect. I have to sneeze. However, these people would be able to come to terms with what happened to them, and they would not feel the need to pass along what happened to them as children. So this is a side note, sidebar, side conversation. Okay, so I was on Facebook and this lady was really upset because she had ordered these dolls that were anatomically correct, which if you do not know what that means the boy has a penis and the girl has a vagina. So the lady goes, she goes on this tantrum and she's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I ordered these dolls and look what they have. And then she showed the dolls and they were, naked from like the waist down. Basically the point of her post was to show that they had the correct sexual, well, I don't use the word correct, but they had the sexual organs that they were assigned with. And she goes, well, good thing I saw this because this isn't something I want my child to see. I'm sending these back. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. So what you're telling me is you don't want to let your child know that boys have penises and girls have vaginas at a young age. You want to call them hoo-haws and hinky-woos and doodads so that if somebody were to touch them in that place, they don't know how to tell you, I'm not comfortable with you touching my nana. What, huh? No. You need to teach your child from a young age, whether it's a boy or a girl, they have a penis, they have a vagina. You need to talk about those parts as if you were talking about an elbow or an ear or a nose. Because what's going to happen is these kids, now, first of all, if you tell a 3-year-old boy, mommy doesn't have a penis, she has a vagina, guess what he's going to say? Okay. Do you think he's going to be like, ooh, I can't wait to stick my penis in there one day? No, not at 3 years old. He's not thinking that. So if we talk about penises and vaginas the way we talk about any other part of our body, the sex talk is going to be that much easier. And it's better you teach your kids about those parts than somebody else. Because then we get into this situation. And once we get into this situation, it becomes a vicious cycle. Because, I mean, if you have somebody touching you in your hoo-ha and you go, don't tell your mama I touch you in your hoo-ha. But if they know at 2 years old, nobody else is allowed to touch my vagina, but you're over here calling it a hoo-ha, no. They can go tell their mom, Mom, did you know this is my hoo-ha? Well, who told you that? Uncle Benny? No, absolutely not. So that's why you have to have this talk with kids when they're young. Otherwise, somebody else is going to teach it to them, and they're going to teach it in a way that is not healthy. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. So then we go on to meet Miss Lena McClin, who was a high school teacher, music teacher at R. Kelly's high school. And she said that he never talked about his home life, but she knew what was happening because the aggression came out in his music. Everything that he was dealing with came out in his music. And then there's somebody else that asked the question, well, why didn't anybody notice? Well, people noticed, but they didn't care because it was happening to Black girls. Only, and I mean only, Black girls can answer this, because if you're not a Black girl, you've never experienced this as a Black girl. How old were you when you noticed that men, and I'm not just talking like boys your age, I'm talking grown men. How old were you when you noticed grown men were looking at you in a sexual way? Nobody cares. And it doesn't matter what you were wearing. It doesn't matter anything. People would be like, oh, well, that's why she fast anyways. Fast for what? Having a body? Because I can guarantee you there's a lot of Black girls out there, Black women out there that are like, wait a second. When I was 10, 11, 12, there were men 25, 26, 27 trying to get with me. But didn't nobody care because they were labeled as fast. Then we go on to Aaliyah. Now, may Aaliyah rest in peace. But anybody that knows what happened between Aaliyah and R. Kelly, and anybody that was there to witness it, I literally have no words because that is disgusting. Aaliyah met R. Kelly when she was 12. And Aaliyah's first song or album, Age Ain't Nothing But a Number. And basically that song was about a younger girl telling an older man that age is nothing but a number and her trying to get him to go all the way. It's called grooming, you guys. Grooming. What does a 12, 13, 14, 15-year-old know about that? What should they know about that? They shouldn't be singing about it. They shouldn't be experiencing it. R. Kelly's former tour manager and personal assistant, his name is Demetrius Smith. He was there the whole time. And Aaliyah's parents they trusted him, basically. Aaliyah's parents trusted Demetrius Smith. And when Demetrius asked Robert, is anything going on between you and Aaliyah? No, nothing's going on. But when R. Kelly got Aaliyah pregnant, he was the one forging the papers saying that she was 18 so that they could get married. She was 15. People on the tour bus saw R. Kelly and Aaliyah being intimate. Saw it with their own eyes. But those paychecks were coming. And who are you going to believe? People do this all the time. Well, who are you going to believe? I can never do that because people have an idea of what a predator is supposed to look like in their minds. People have ideas of a way a predator is supposed to act in their minds. And somebody who makes great music could never be a predator. And what's really sad about the whole Aaliyah R. Kelly marriage is after 2 months, it was annulled and R. Kelly paid Aaliyah $100. Now, as a 15-year-old girl, and this was in the 90s, who knows nothing about money or any of this stuff, he paid her $100 to not pursue legal action because he knew what he was doing was wrong. And so then comes the question, why didn't the culture say something is wrong? And I'll tell you why. People don't know how to compartmentalize. And by that, they don't know how to separate the musician from the music. And I'm going to put this in perspective. how many of you guys are fans of Donald Trump? How many of you guys don't like him because of the things that he's done in the past? How many of you guys think he's a pig? How many of you guys think that he's a terrible leader? Well, people who are Donald Trump fans don't care what he's done in the past, same as R. Kelly. They don't care who they've hurt, same as R. Kelly. All 45 supporters care about is what he's going to do to better this country. And R. Kelly fans / stans, all they care about is the music that he's made. They don't care. And that's why some people are like, well, he made 12 plays, so I don't care what he did. He made this song, so I don't care what he did. He did this, so I don't care what he's done. Okay, so don't ever, if you support somebody because of one thing that you like about them, don't go after anybody else because they support somebody because of one thing that they're good at. So that is my recap, my rundown of Surviving R. Kelly Part 1. I've got 5 more parts to do. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a big thumbs up. That helps me out a lot. And also do not forget to click subscribe for new content every single week. Thank you guys so much for watching. And until my next video, I will see you guys later. Bye.